Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Own It Shack. It's David here bringing another Masterly Quest episode, and this is going to be episode 10, Terran vs. Terran here on the map Metalopolis. But before I get into that, I do want to say the reason I haven't been putting up videos as much lately is because of school, and this is a pattern you should probably expect to continue for the next month or so as exams roll in. Probably going to be a little bit less videos, a little bit less playing. Pretty much sucks on all fronts, but that's what you have to deal with in university. So hopefully, you know, once that's all wrapped up, should have a bunch of new videos for you, probably almost every other day throughout the summer, which for me is defined as May through August, so just in case you're wondering. But anyways, episode 10 here, and like I said, Metalopolis, not my favorite map at all. It's pretty bad if you spawn in close positions. I'm not sure if they took that out in the new patch, so if someone could let me know, that would be great. In this game, obviously, I don't spawn in close positions, or I wouldn't be asking that question. But the reason I hate it in close positions is obviously because, like any close position, it doesn't favor macro play, which is what I'm best at. Not too good with all-ins and cheese. They never seem to work out for me for some reason, probably because I don't practice them that much. But anyways, let's just talk about the new patch here for a sec. There's some nice new changes I've seen, and probably the biggest one for me would be the battlecruiser speed upgrade. It really helps. I've used some BCs since the new patch has come out, and I have to say they are really fast. They honestly, you can tell the difference immediately after you see them move. It looks quite awkward, to be honest. And so I've been, you know, just playing around with those in Terran vs. Zerg, and one guy on the ladder actually used them against me, but I just went Mass Viking and Thor, and it seemed to prevail. So I'm not quite sure if they're the greatest thing to use in Terran vs. Terran, because the problem is you have to keep them a secret. I scanned his base and I saw that the fusion core was there, so I immediately knew that I needed 5 starports. So, you know, up 5 starports went. But anyways, in this game, as you can see, because we haven't spawned in close positions, well, we are close positions by air, and that's going to trigger me to go for Cloaked Banshees. I know I like the Blue Flame Hellion drop, but, you know, I'm going to be trying something new here. I figured, why not? And the main reason for that is right there. Command Center. Fast Command Center, I'm like, okay, maybe this guy's going to not get an engineering bay because he's dumping so many minerals into the expo that he won't have enough for turrets. So that's why I go for the Cloaked Banshees. And as you can see, I get the second refinery quite fast because of that. You really need it fast for Cloaked Banshees. To get your first Cloaked Banshee out costs 350 minerals and 300 gas. That's pretty expensive, to be honest. And another thing, I'm going to be checking in there because I haven't seen his scouting worker yet. And I'm like, oh, where's this guy at? That's kind of weird. I started a Reaper here, but I changed my mind. I'm like, screw it. But anyways, yeah, the Marine check's back there just to make sure he didn't sneak in somehow, and I feel pretty safe that he's not going to get a scout off on me. And that's always a great position to be in. I'm happy that I don't want him to do that. Another thing you'll notice, I'm putting the starport way over there. I'm going to float the factory over to put a tech lab on that factory in a very close position to the starport, just to, you know, get the build a little bit more refined. That way you can swap the starport immediately onto that tech lab without having to wait for, you know, for the building time of the tech lab on a bare starport. You'll also notice that the tech lab on that barrack is a complete waste at this point. Yeah, I'll admit it. It's a terrible idea. The reason I did do that is because I wasn't quite sure if I was going to do Banshees or not. And I prefer to have that starport away from where he's likely to be scanning, just in case. And as you can see, the timing of that works out quite nicely. The factory lifts up, the starport goes down, and you'll see I try and research Cloak, and I'm like, oops, wrong position, so I have to move her over a bit more, and then you can start Cloak and your first Banshee immediately. As you can see there, the timing's quite nice on that, and you can also swap the barracks with the tech lab up with your factory, because, you know, it's just a good play. Since you already have one, you might as well use it. Sadly, I didn't realize that, so I lost a bit of minerals and gas canceling that tech lab I started building. But it's nothing too detrimental, and yeah, I'm also going to be getting an engineering bay myself, and that's simply because there have been some builds recently that I've seen in the GSL where someone goes for a fast expansion and then they follow it up with the Cloaked Banshees, and that's pretty sneaky, I have to admit, and you don't want to get caught by that. And as you can see, I've also timed out that command center to give me supply. It gave me extra supply just when I was about to be blocked, so it's very nice to have. Also notice siege tanks in siege mode are researching. The second Banshee's on our way. Takes 2 Banshees to get out in the time that Cloak researches. And I've also got 2 barracks going to be adding 1 reactor, 1 tech lab for upgrades, and the reactor for additional marines. My main goal here, my transition from the Banshees, is going to be Marine Tank Medevac, not Viking. After watching a bunch of GSL games, I've realized, okay, it doesn't seem like people really like the Vikings anymore. They're just, they just don't do any damage to the ground, and if you have 2 bases, you have enough scans to actually always be able to see their tanks. You don't really need air control as much these days. And the Cloaked Banshees will do a great job of that too. And then I see, oh great, he's got turrets. And so I just go over here and I just see, oh okay, mass barracks. That's good for me because, you know, tanks obviously beat Marines any day. One thing, you have to stay away from those turrets. I'm being very sloppy here. You're going to see some pretty bad stuff. And there goes the scan. I thought I was out of range here, and well, no I wasn't, and I lose one of the Banshees because of that. And sadly, it was the first Banshee that came out, which means that I have less energy on this one than I did the other. But I still get a really nice amount of kills. He doesn't have full turret coverage, and the great thing about Metalopolis is that you can fly to their natural a lot faster than they can walk to it. I'm going to just be trying to pick off one last SCV here before I go, and there, I get it. Now, you'll also notice I floated my Expo over in this time. While I'm applying this pressure, the chances of him attacking me are quite low, so it only makes sense to expand at that time. So I'll be transferring over the SCVs, and I've done enough damage to him that he's probably not ahead of me economically despite getting that expansion on the 4 mine. I'll also be bringing my Banshee back home. I don't want to waste that Banshee. I can simply repair her and then use her in the following battle to just gain some sight of his siege tanks, if that is what he chooses to do. Also, one thing I suggest you do is put a turret. As you can see, I just did in the smokescreen area on Metalopolis. It's pretty ridiculous when you get dropped back there, and that'll shut that down completely. So, yeah. Here comes the mulage. It's always good. Also get turrets at your expansions. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in this game is not having a detection at your expansions in the late game. As you can see, I'm going to fail a bit here trying to get the 2 SCVs mining on the Vespine gas right there. But it's alright because I feel quite ahead at this point, simply because I'm so far ahead in the siege tank count, and that's really what matters here. And I'll also be placing depots around my base. That's to give me sight of if he pushes out. One thing I have been trying to do lately is really watch that minimap, just like frickin' stare at it, just so I know when things are coming at me. And yeah, because I got that engineering bay up early, I'm going to be getting an upgrade there as well, might as well, of course. And also, the armory is coming out around this time so that when that armory finishes, I can start my level 2 upgrades immediately after. And I'm going to be putting a reactor on that starport because I don't feel like I need the tech lab anymore. I'm not going to be getting any more Banshees or Raven at this point. I'm just going to be investing my gas, mostly into medevacs and tanks. I've also splashed in a couple Marauders with this mix. They're absolutely fantastic to kill your opponent's siege tanks. You can snipe a few tanks like that. They also tank a ton of damage from the Marines, so they're a pretty good addition overall. And Marauders, a pretty good unit. Just a little pro tip for you guys there. So anyways, yeah, just continue to macro. I've gotten a lot faster recently. APM wise, my macro APM, I've been really just working the left hand, just going 5 AAA, 6 SSEE, which is, you know, Marines, tanks, and Hellions respectively. And that's really helped, and that's something I suggest you practice. Just try, you know, you don't even have to be in game, just go into like Microsoft Word or something and start spamming away. I also see a Marine there. But anyways, I'm going to just be stimming him just to see if his expansion is up. That's the reason I did that. But coming back to the macro, one thing I'm going to be doing is making a hotkey video. It's something I promise I will do once I have more time, when school's done. and I do a really good job with it. I think you guys will love it. And you'll notice he tries to attack here, but it's not going to happen. Got my third base up already. Putting that into an orbital, so much better than getting a planetary. And you can see I'm going to stim a marine up there just to see what he has, and I'm like, whoa, he's not committing nearly enough to this. I can take that. So I just move all my units up, and I decide not to stim here. There's no use. I will lose hardly anything. I think I lose... Yeah, I lost 2 marines in that whole engagement to clean up what I thought was his whole army, but it turns out it was just a small task force that he forgot about. I don't know why. And also, I'm going to be attacking at this point. You can see I have my upgrades going, level 2 and level 1 for my tanks, and I'll be getting that expansion up while I attack. It's always good mechanics, just because you want to expand while your opponent is under pressure. Just makes sense, right? And so I've got all my tanks on hotkey 2, as I like to do, and I'll just be stimming that in, and I see, whoa, he made a big tank transition, which definitely changes my game plan. I mean, I was thinking I was just going to have like an easy win here, just push in with my tanks and devastate him, but looks like it's not the case. Also going to be getting a nice spread with my tanks, as you can see. That is a really hard contain, and for reasons I cannot understand, he pushes in, and I see he's unsieged, so I just go in and stim with my marines. And I take out pretty much all the unsieged tanks. I also try and push a little bit forward here, but I will just push back a tiny bit once I see that tank siege up and get mine in a better position. Also notice I'm continuing to macro through this engagement. I just do what I told you. Go back and hit 5 and then spam A a bunch of times to get more marines, etc. I tried to cloak the Banshee to save her, but yeah, it didn't work. I've also set my rally point back at the natural, simply because I think it's great to defend against counterattack. Normally in games, I used to just rally right to the battle, but I've seen pros not doing that, and I really like it. So it's something I suggest you try. And yeah, it should be a pretty good thing, because as you can see here, if he tries to counter, I always have some units back there to defend against that. So no base trades are going to be happening here. And it also sees you up right on the low ground right there. It's a beautiful spot, and he just leaves the game. In fact, I remember playing this guy before on the ladder, and I thought I had fonder memories of him than a rage quit, but either way, I thought it was a pretty good game by myself. I felt like my transitions were pretty solid, and I'm really getting better. And as you can see, we don't know how many losses he has anymore because of the new patch, but we do know he's a pretty solid player. As you can see, he's got 477 wins, and myself still pushing up the ladder here. Got 2262, 193 wins. Can't wait to get 250 for that ghost portrait. But anyways, here's to another Master League Quest episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again for another Daily Dose of Own.